There is a war taking place inside you, not a war fought with weapons or armies, but one fought in silence, every moment of every day. It is the battle between you and your own mind. Think for a moment, how many times has your mind whispered that you are not good enough, that you will fail, that you should not even try? Those whispers can shape your entire reality if you let them. Control your mind, or it will control you. That was one of the great lessons we uncovered in Season 1, and it is where we begin again today. Because the truth is simple. If you do not take the driver's seat, your mind will take it for you, and it will not always choose the road that leads to your best self. Imagine a person standing at the edge of a cliff, the sun rising behind them. One step forward could mean freedom, but fear holds them in place. Have you ever felt that hesitation? That moment when your thoughts scream louder than your courage. Your body ready to move, yet your mind chains you in place. Why does this happen? Because the mind is both protector and prisoner. It shields us from danger, but it also traps us in cycles of doubt, regret, and fear. Left unchecked, it can convince us that comfort is safety and growth is impossible. But ask yourself, is comfort really safety? Or is it another name for a slow death of potential? Think of the stories of history. Marcus Aurelius, a man who led the Roman Empire, wrote in his journals not about conquering lands, but about conquering himself. He knew that the greatest throne is meaningless if the mind is weak. And then there are modern examples. People who rose from unimaginable hardships, who could have been broken by despair, yet chose to master their inner world. So let me ask you, when was the last time you stopped and questioned the voice in your head? When was the last time you asked yourself if that voice was guiding you, or if it was holding you back? The battle of the mind is not about silence. It is about awareness. The mind will always speak. It will tell stories, it will predict disasters, it will drag the past into the present. But the one thing you must remember is this: you are not your thoughts. You are the one who watches them, the one who decides which to believe and which to release. Season 1 was only the beginning of this discovery. It showed us the prison of thoughts we carry unknowingly. Now, as we step further, I ask you, will you keep being a prisoner of your own thinking, or will you begin to master the art of control? Pause here, take a breath, feel the weight of your own thoughts, and remember, the first step to winning this battle is not force, but awareness. Your mind loves control. It builds routines, patterns, habits. At first glance, this feels safe. It feels predictable. But here is the paradox. The more you let your mind control you, the less control you actually have over your life. Think about how many times you reached for your phone without meaning to. How many times you ate when you were not hungry, simply because of boredom or habit. These small acts are proof of something greater. The mind is pulling the strings, and we often do not even realize it. Control your mind, or it will control you. These are not just words, they are a warning. A mind left untrained becomes a restless child, chasing every impulse, fearing every challenge, avoiding every discomfort. But a trained mind becomes a warrior, calm in storms, unshaken by noise, steady on the path. Have you noticed how quickly thoughts spiral? One small worry becomes 10. One fear becomes a chain of endless what-ifs. Before you know it, you are living a reality that only exists inside your head. So let me ask you, how much of your life is shaped by reality? And how much is shaped by the stories your mind keeps telling you? There is a story of a prisoner who spent years in a cell, but when the doors finally opened, he remained inside, not because of chains, but because his mind had convinced him that freedom was dangerous. This is what happens when the mind rules unchecked. We may be free, yet we live as captives. But there is another side. The side where awareness cuts through illusion. Think of athletes who perform under impossible pressure, not because they have no fear, but because they train their minds to dance with it. Think of survivors of hardship who create beauty from pain, because they chose not to believe the story of despair. So I ask you, what story is your mind telling you today? Is it a story of limits or a story of possibility? Is it the story of someone waiting for permission or someone who chooses freedom? Season 1 left us with glimpses of these truths. Season 2 demands that we live them. To control the mind is not to silence it, but to guide it. To be the master of the inner world, so that the outer world does not shake you. And perhaps the most important question of all is this: if not now, then when? If not you, then who? The world outside is loud. Advertisements, notifications, endless voices telling you what to want, who to be, and how to live. But do you know what is louder than all of it? The noise inside your own head. Your mind never rests. It replays old mistakes, invents new fears, creates problems that do not even exist yet. And slowly, without noticing, you begin to mistake that noise for truth. Have you ever lain awake at night, your body tired but your mind refusing to stop? Thought after thought, regret after regret, and suddenly the hours vanish. That is the power of a mind untrained. It does not serve you, it consumes you. Season 1 reminded us of this hidden prison. The cage built not of iron bars but of restless thinking. But here is the question that matters. If your mind is always talking, how do you hear your own voice? Think of a river after a storm. Mud, leaves, broken branches swirl together, clouding the water. But given time, the river clears, and the surface reflects the sky. Your mind is that river. If you let it settle, you can finally see. But most people never wait. They stir it more, chasing distraction after distraction, keeping the water muddy. So let me ask you, when was the last time you allowed silence? Not silence outside, but silence within. When was the last time you observed your thoughts instead of obeying them? Consider this. A thought is not reality. It is only a suggestion. But when you grab it, feed it, repeat it, you give it life. And soon that suggestion becomes your belief, your story, your reality. The person who says, "I am not capable," is not weak, but their belief becomes a chain. The one who says, "I am resilient," plants a seed that grows into strength. Which seed are you watering today? There is a practice the Stoics embraced. Each day they would pause and reflect, asking, "Are these thoughts serving me or enslaving me?" The same practice lives on in meditation, in mindful breathing, in simply sitting with yourself. It is not about emptying the mind. It is about seeing clearly. But ask yourself this. If you cannot sit with your thoughts for 5 minutes, how will you ever walk through the storms of life? If you cannot quiet the inner noise, how will you hear the truth of who you are? Season 1 revealed the prison. Season 2 is about finding the key. And that key begins with silence, with choosing to notice the noise instead of being ruled by it. Because the mind is powerful, but only when it obeys, not when it commands. Every person lives inside a story. Some stories are empowering, others are destructive. But here is the truth. Few admit. The story you believe is the story you live. Think about it. 2 people face the same setback. One says, "This proves I am not good enough." The other says, "This is proof that I am learning." Same event. 2 stories, 2 destinies. Which one sounds more like you? The human mind is a storyteller. It creates meaning where there is none. A failure becomes shame. A rejection becomes humiliation. But it does not have to be this way. You can rewrite the script. You can choose to see failure as education, rejection as redirection. So let me ask you, what story have you been repeating to yourself? Is it the story of being too late, too broken, too ordinary? Or is it the story of possibility, of strength, of becoming? There was once a young man who dreamed of being a writer. His first book was rejected dozens of times. His second was ignored. His mind told him to quit, to accept that he was not meant for greatness. But he chose a different story. He told himself each rejection was one step closer to success. That man was Stephen King, and his books would go on to touch millions of lives. This is the power of story, not the one written in books, but the one written in your own head. And you, whether you realize it or not, are the author. The question is, are you writing a tragedy or a triumph? Season 1 taught us to notice the prison. Season 2 asks us to break the illusion. You are not the victim of your story. You are the one holding the pen. So imagine just for a moment that you rewrote your inner dialogue. Instead of "I cannot," it becomes "I will try." Instead of "I am afraid," it becomes "I am courageous enough to begin." Instead of "I am stuck," it becomes "I am on the edge of transformation." If you practice this daily, how would your life change? What opportunities would you see that you used to ignore? What doors would you open that you once believed were locked? The stories we tell ourselves shape our future. They build our courage or they destroy it. They open paths or they close them. So ask yourself now, what story will you choose to live tomorrow? Because the mind, left alone, writes stories of fear. But the mind, when guided, can write stories of strength. And that story, your story, is waiting for you to begin a new chapter. Fear. It is the oldest companion of the human race. It kept our ancestors alive in the wilderness, warning them of danger, pushing them to survive. But today, fear has taken another form. It no longer warns us of lions or storms. Instead, it whispers in our minds, stopping us from chasing dreams, silencing us before we speak, trapping us in cages we cannot even see. Control your mind, or it will control you. Fear is the greatest proof of that truth. Think back for a moment. How many opportunities have you lost because fear convinced you to stay silent? How many times have you known what you wanted, yet the fear of failure, rejection, or judgment kept you frozen? How many times did you tell yourself, maybe tomorrow, when deep down you knew tomorrow never comes? Fear is not the enemy. Fear is information. But when you let it decide for you, it becomes a prison. There is a story of a young woman who dreamed of standing on stage to sing. Every day, her heart longed for music, but her mind filled her with visions of failure, people laughing, notes breaking, shame covering her like a shadow. For years, she stayed silent, until one day she asked herself a question. What if fear is lying to me? That night, she sang. Her voice trembled at first, but the audience applauded, and in that moment she realized fear was never the truth. It was only the story her mind was writing. So let me ask you, what has fear stolen from you? What song have you not sung? What step have you not taken? What life have you not lived? Because fear said you could not. Fear will always exist. You cannot erase it, but you can master your response to it. Imagine walking with fear at your side, not as a master, but as a companion. You nod to it, you hear it, but you keep walking. That is control. That is freedom. Season 1 showed us that rejection is not failure, that courage lives in trying. Season 2 deepens the lesson. Fear will not vanish, but your power comes from deciding anyway. So I ask you, if fear is the prison, are you ready to walk out the open door? If fear is the prison, then discipline is the key. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is freedom. It is the act of training your mind to obey you, not the other way around. Think of an athlete. They wake up early, train when tired, repeat the same movements thousands of times. Why? Because they know the body follows the mind, and the mind follows discipline. Without discipline, even the greatest talent wastes away. But discipline is not only for athletes. It is for anyone who wants to live fully. It is in choosing to rise when the alarm rings, in choosing to put the phone down, in choosing to speak with kindness when anger burns inside you. Every choice is training. Every choice shapes who commands the throne of your mind. So, let me ask you, who is in charge right now? Is it you, or is it your impulses? When you promise yourself you will start tomorrow, who really made that decision? When you give in to distraction instead of focus, Who is the master? The Stoics knew this truth. They trained themselves daily, not for comfort but for strength. Seneca once said, "If you wish to rule yourself, practice it in the smallest things." Skip a meal to show hunger does not own you. Wake early to prove you command the day. These small acts become great power. Modern science agrees. Habits shape the brain. Every time you choose discipline, you carve a path in your mind. The more you walk it, the stronger it becomes, until it is no longer a struggle but a natural way of being. But here is the challenge. Most people wait for motivation. They wait for the perfect moment. But discipline is not born from waiting. Discipline is born from acting, especially when you do not feel like it. So let me ask you, what is one small discipline you can start today? Not tomorrow, today. Is it waking up 10 minutes earlier? Is it writing one page? Is it saying thank you instead of complaining? The size does not matter. The consistency does. Season 1 reminded us that small wins build momentum. Season 2 reminds us that discipline builds mastery. And mastery of the mind is the foundation of every other victory in life. Because the mind, left alone, is restless and wild. But a disciplined mind is like a river directed by strong banks, powerful, unstoppable, carving valleys through mountains. So the question stands. Will you let your mind wander endlessly, or will you give it direction? What you focus on grows. This is one of the simplest truths, yet one of the hardest to live by. The mind is like sunlight. Scattered, it warms. Focused, it burns through steel. But how often do we scatter our attention? 1,000 small distractions pulling us in every direction. The phone buzzing, the worries rising, the endless stream of noise demanding to be heard. And before we realize it, the day is gone. Not wasted in effort, but lost in fragments. Control your mind, or it will control you. Nowhere is this clearer than in the realm of attention. Think for a moment. How much of your life is shaped by what you choose to notice? When you focus on problems, they multiply. When you focus on gratitude, your heart grows lighter. When you focus on fear, it expands until it blocks the horizon. But when you focus on possibility, doors appear where walls once stood. There is a story of a monk who was asked, "What is the difference between heaven and hell?" He replied, "The mind. In hell, the mind sees only what is missing. In heaven, the mind sees the same place, but focuses on what is present. Heaven and hell are not places, they are states of attention." So let me ask you, where has your attention been living? On the mistakes of yesterday, or the opportunities of today? On the noise of others, or the whispers of your own soul? Science now tells us what ancient wisdom always knew. Attention shapes the brain. Neurons fire where you focus. Habits grow where you invest thought. Your reality is literally sculpted by what you give your energy to. Season 1 showed us that we cannot escape the prison of thought by running. We escape by choosing what deserves our gaze. Season 2 asks us to practice this daily. To aim our attention not at fear, not at distraction, but at the path we want to walk. So the question is simple. What will you feed with your focus? Life will always bring storms. Illness, loss, change, disappointment. No one is spared. But what separates those who break from those who endure is not the storm itself, but the state of the mind within it. Control your mind, or it will control you. And in the storm, this truth decides everything. Picture a ship on wild seas. Waves crash, winds roar, chaos surrounds. But if the captain remains steady, the ship survives. If the captain panics, the ship is lost. Your mind is that captain. The storm is inevitable, but calm is a choice. Have you ever faced a moment when everything seemed to collapse at once? A rejection, a failure, a sudden loss. In that moment, your heart raced, your thoughts spiraled, your breath quickened. Yet somewhere within you, there was also a small voice whispering, Breathe. Did you hear it? Did you listen? The Stoics spoke of this often. Epictetus said, "We cannot control what happens, but we can control how we respond. The storm is not ours to command, but the calm is." So let me ask you, how do you train for calm? Do you rush through life waiting for peace to appear, or do you practice peace in small moments so that when the storm comes, you are ready? Think of those who inspire us most. Leaders who guided nations through war, parents who held families together through hardship, ordinary people who faced pain with dignity. Their strength did not come from avoiding storms. It came from carrying calm inside them. Season 1 revealed the noise and the prison of the mind. Season 2 now asks us to become stillness itself. Not because life will get easier, but because you will grow stronger. So ask yourself this. When the storm arrives, will you drown in it, or will you stand in the center? Calm, unshaken, unbroken. There is a mirror in life, but it does not reflect your face. It reflects your focus. When you look into this mirror with gratitude, you see abundance. When you look into it with complaint, you see only emptiness. Gratitude is the anchor of a stable mind. It takes the same world, the same struggles, the same storms, and paints them with different colors. Without gratitude, even success feels hollow. With gratitude, even hardship carries hidden gifts. Think about this. How often do you rush through a day without noticing the 1,000 quiet blessings around you? The breath you take, the people who care for you, the fact that even in struggle, you are still here, alive, with another chance to begin again. Control your mind, or it will control you. Gratitude is one of the most powerful ways to take back that control. There was once a man who lost nearly everything in life. His career collapsed, his health weakened, his friends left. In despair, he began writing down one thing he was grateful for each day. At first, it felt forced, even foolish. But slowly, the list grew. He found joy in small meals, in a kind word from a stranger, in the sunrise he had ignored for years. In time, his spirit healed, and with it, his life rebuilt. Gratitude did not erase the pain, but it gave him strength to rise again. So let me ask you, what do you see when you look into the mirror of your own life? Do you see only what is missing, or do you see what has always been given? Science confirms what wisdom has always whispered. Gratitude rewires the brain, softens stress, builds resilience. It is not just emotion, it is power. Season 1 reminded us that freedom begins in the mind. Season 2 reminds us that freedom is sustained by gratitude. Without it, the mind sinks into despair. With it, the mind learns to dance, even in hardship. So I ask you, what will you thank life for today? We have traveled far. From the prison of fear to the discipline of the mind. From the noise of thought to the calm in storms. But all of it points to one truth. Master your mind, and you master your life. This is not about control in the sense of force. It is about guidance, awareness, intention. Your mind is a tool, the most powerful tool you will ever hold. But like fire, it can warm you or burn you. The choice lies in how you direct it. Think of all the people you admire. Leaders, creators, visionaries. What separates them is not luck alone nor talent alone, but the mastery of their inner world. They learn to face fear with courage, to discipline their thoughts, to choose focus over distraction, to find calm in chaos, to live in gratitude instead of complaint. These are not gifts. They are practices. So let me ask you, what would your life look like if you became the master of your inner world? What decisions would you make differently? What risks would you finally take? What peace would you carry into every moment? The truth is this: the storms will never stop. Fear will never vanish. Doubt will never fully disappear. But you can rise above them. You can guide your mind instead of being guided by it. You can walk through life, not as a prisoner of thought, but as the architect of it. Season 1 showed us the hidden prison. Season 2 shows us the path to freedom. And this path is not out there, somewhere distant. It is here, inside you, waiting to be walked. So the question is not whether you can master your mind. The question is, will you choose to? Take a breath. Feel the silence between thoughts. In that silence is the key. In that silence, you are free. We have walked through the hidden prison of thoughts. We have faced the noise of the mind, the chains of fear, the storms of life, and we have learned that within all of it, there is a power waiting to be claimed. The power of awareness, the power of discipline, the power of gratitude. But let me remind you, this is not the end. This is only the beginning of Season 2. What you have heard so far are the foundations, the stones laid on the path. The journey is longer, deeper, and it will demand more of you. Because to master the mind is not a single lesson. It is a lifetime of practice. Each day the battle begins again. Each day the whispers of doubt, of distraction, of fear return. And each day you must choose. Will you be ruled by them, or will you rise above them? So let me ask you, are you ready for the next steps? Are you ready to discover what lies beyond fear, beyond discipline, beyond even the storms of life? Season 1 showed us the hidden prison. Season 2 has begun to show us the way out. But the door is still ahead. The key is still waiting in your hand. And the chapters that remain will take us deeper into silence, into resilience, into the kind of strength that cannot be shaken by any storm. Stay with me. The journey is not finished. Ahead lies more than lessons. Ahead lies transformation. So breathe, be still, and prepare yourself. Because the next parts of this season will not only challenge your mind, they will awaken your soul.